And welcome again to the big match. Today our main match is the London derby game between Queen's Park Rangers and Tottenham. And from that game we have a studio guest, and it's Willie Young of Spurs. We support another from the First Division, Leeds United against Newcastle United. And then we have another of our fascinating dips into the Fourth Division for Cambridge United against Northampton Town. A good game that was marred, though, when a Northampton player was sent off. There's your letters, of course, and an extra ration of goals this week as we bring you the best October goals from West Germany. But first we move across to West London, to Loftus Road, where Spurs come out knowing that they face a formidable task, even though their recent record has been most encouraging. And with both teams now on the field and getting the feel of a blustery win, we are ready for Queen's Park Rangers against Spurs, and let's take a check on the two teams. Rangers are unchanged. Spurs have Terry Naylor back after suspension. John Duncan returns after injury to substitute, and Alfie Conn is out through injury. But for Queen's Park Rangers, a unique moment, as 5 of their players are chosen by Don Revie for the England squad for that vital game against Portugal in 10 days' time. And here they are. From the left, Ian Gillard, Jerry Francis, Stan Bowles, Phil Parkes and Dave Thomas. Quite a moment there is. The referee today is Harold Hackney from Barnsley, and now the crowd is waiting for the start.
And Spurs kick off in a smart outfit, all of yellow with black facings, attacking the goal to our right. Coming here, I suppose they might admit, or perhaps they wouldn't, as underdogs. They lie 15th in the table, although they've been unbeaten in their last 8. Now facing one of the most, if not the most exciting side in the First Division. Queen's Park Rangers in their blue and white hoops. It's Francis, but Chris Jones getting in with a good deal of aggression there and determination, and taking that pass from Ralph Coates very well. Coming in towards Chivers, and Gillard forced to give that a corner away. So Ian Gillard quickly in action, as indeed were Spurs down that left flank. And Ralph Coates will take the corner for them. And Willie Young right in there. So too is Don McAllister. So Coates with the corner. And in fact it was McAllister's head of it. Neither power nor direction. And so Phil Parkes, well, it's early days, but what a display of goalkeeping we should have here today with Phil Parkes in goal for Queen's Park Rangers, and the incomparable Pat Jennings at the other end for Tottenham. High towards Bowles. And Bowles turning to Francis and saying, let's keep it a bit lower in this breeze. Now Jones with Webb in close attendance, still with Chris Jones, turned there and behind. Showed his danger there, Chris Jones. A young player who's learning all the time. He was very much as a target man for Tottenham, but he gave David Webb something to think about there. Gillard in positively. Throw finding Jones. Webb's after him, and he's still got in a very good cross towards Ralph Coates, and that very nearly came off for Tottenham. That was some superb play under a lot of pressure there by young Chris Jones, and he got his cross in. Coates was there at the far post, and he was being hustled just enough for Rangers by Mick Leach. Thomas. Ian Gillard. Played again towards Gibbons. Obviously Tottenham very aware of the problems that Gibbons can cause in the air, but Willie Young is stuck pretty close to him, but now Gibbons with a shot. Oh, and what a good one there. A really excellent save there by Pat Jennings. Willie Young had lost Gibbons for a moment, and Gibbons almost took full advantage of it. The ball moving quite a bit in the air, and Jennings doing exceptionally well once again to save it. Seems to have carried on from that form of last week. Clintock trying to get in there, but it was Willie Young's header again for Tottenham. Masson trying to play it back for Dave Clement, but Perryman will be there first for Tottenham. And an offside against Jimmy Neighbour. Francis to Thomas. Hasn't really used his pace so far this afternoon. Now maybe he'll do it against Naylor. No. But that's a good pass to Dave Clement. Cross coming in again, and over the top there from Jerry Francis. Played back for Lee. Now for Gillard. Planted forward, onside. A good, well-timed run there by Jerry Francis, and a bit of luck there as Bowles can take it up. Down he goes, no penalty. Francis turning it in. And Leach was almost there again for Rangers, but now Coates can take it away for Tottenham. Good ball there to Jimmy Neighbour. Taking on Gillard, and in the end losing out. Thomas, the short ball to Webb, and now for Leach. A nice little flick there for Francis. This is better. Now for Bowles. A Rangers player down and injured, as Osgood gets up well to head away. In fact, 2 Rangers players are injured. Jones. The referee keeping the play going. Both injured. Chivers now taking it on. And a tremendous shot there. Oh, and Parks only half saved it and almost came in to finish it off. So now there can be treatment for the injured. One of them is David Thomas on the right. I think that's Ian Gillard, who's flat out. So there's Thomas, the right knee, and I think that's Gillard. Are you all right to go on, he's being asked. I think Dave Clement is shaking his head and saying, no, I don't think he is. And I think Gillard might well have to go off. For a few minutes at any rate. John Hollins, a very experienced substitute, just warming up as a precautionary measure. Dave Thomas all right. McClintock. Givens. And now Perryman. A touch to Chivers. Didn't quite go for him. Always suggesting that it might, though, as Gillard comes back onto the field. Willie Young winning it in the air. Young's job obviously to mark Don Gibbons very tightly. There he goes again, there's Gibbons, and Young right behind him. Masson turning that in. Again, Leach was coming up fast in a blind position. Gillard. Now Pratt. And Chris Jones onside. Now can Chris something of this? McClintock's after him. Brilliant defence by McClintock. Well, he showed he got a fair bit of football left in him. Frank McClintock. He caught Jones and tackled superbly to take that ball. Bowles. No foul. Naylor. On for Pratt. Spurs at the moment looking the better side. Now Chivers. Now can he take on McClintock? There's the shot. Punched away that time by Phil Parks. No doubt at all about it that Rangers are thrown out of their stride by the conviction that Spurs are showing and their ability, even though they're playing away from home, to come out and attack them. Coates towards Dave Clement's header. Now Coates. Well, he's gone past McClintock. Coates. Free kick. Brought down by Clement. Willie Young coming forward now. And as that 6 foot plus of number 5 come forwards, that must mean a threat for Queen's Park Rangers. Givens back there to mark him. Chris Jones. About 3 minutes to go to half-time now. McAllister, Masson, Bowles playing it on for Don Givens. Oh, and he hit the top of the crossbar. Well, Jennings would have had no chance with that. Givens, a superb piece of skill as that ball was played on for him. Hit it first time, a sharp angle, right-footed, but with tremendous power against the top of the crossbar. Dave Clement can't play it back because Chris Jones is blocking the way. McClintock finding Masson, and back to Clement again. High ball again towards Givens, hardly lifting himself off the ground. And Coates now for Tottenham. A throw given to Tottenham. But before it can be taken, the half-time whistle's gone. Where Spurs have played well, Don Givens has been the closest to a goal, though, just hitting the top of that Tottenham crossbar. But probably as good as anybody in the Spurs side has been their number 10, Chris Jones, has been very lively indeed up front, and almost made 1 or 2 chances for himself. But Spurs, no doubt, putting Rangers out of their stride by coming forward with so much conviction. Nonetheless, we have a half-time score here at Loftus Road that reads Queen's Park Rangers 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Well, welcome back to Loftus Road as referee Hackney gets us away at the start of the second half. Rangers now attacking the goal to our right, but it's Spurs with John Pratt at the moment. Chivers played on nicely for Pratt, and obviously Spurs intent on going on where they left off in the first half. That's not a bad cross coming in towards Chris Jones, but Clement climbing very well indeed for Rangers. Here's Leach. Stan Bowles played on nicely for Jerry Francis. Well, that should be Pat Jennings' ball, and it is. This Tottenham tackling and chasing and hustling is so disciplined. And here's Chivers. Oh, and a good shot! That really was vintage Chivers, the power of that shot. And I think Phil Parkes was delighted to be able to grab that one to his chest. Pratt, beaten by Leach. Now Young turning it back to Pat Jennings. Now it's Coates for Tottenham. Makings of a very good second half. Throw. Linesman applauded by Martin Chivers, I notice. It's a free kick. Coates. Tottenham's throw. Don McAllister with it. Here's Chivers. McAllister, oh, he's given that one away. Did his best to win it back again. Perryman to Chivers. Played nicely there by Chivers for Pratt. Now on for Neighbour. Really stretching Rangers to the limit at the moment as Spurs. If they came here as underdogs, they're growing with confidence with every minute that's played. Chivers turning on it and grabbed there right at the end by Phil Parkes. And Chivers looking in very sharp form this afternoon. Feet the high there by Clement on Chivers. Good decision again by the referee. Free kick to Tottenham. Chivers feeling that a bit. Really has looked in pretty good form this afternoon. Certainly the efforts there as well. Chasing back in a defensive role, as well as looking for goals too. And that's a young lady looking for goals, but from another angle. McClintock's header. Perriman. Neighbour. To Naylor. Crossing again towards Perriman. Chris Jones, he almost got it on the turn. He almost got it on the turn again, and somehow Park saved. He's a real hustler, that Chris Jones. And he very nearly made a chance for himself there. Tremendous credit to him, and he's a real worker. And in the end, he was denied by Phil Park's bravery. So a corner then to Tottenham. Curled in once more. Willie Young's right in there. But here's Jimmy Neighbour. Well, can he do something? Perriman. They're really carrying this fight to Queen's Park Rangers. Well, that was a nice back heel by Gibbons. And away you go. Queen's Park Rangers through Don Masson. Tried a long sweeping ball towards Stan Bowles, but it was caught on the wind. And it's Perriman now for Tottenham. Well, they confused each other, and John Pratt was not confused. Coates. Free kick. Now Masson. Here's Francis. Webb. Meanwhile, Martin Chivers off the track, off the pitch rather, getting a bit of treatment, and John Duncan warming up, the substitute. Masson, good ball there to Thomas. Caught it well, and it took the deflection, and it almost fooled Willie Young. Leach is right in there too, and Rangers get a throw. 11 minutes of the second half gone. And I think it's Leach needing a bit of treatment. And John Duncan, in fact, is taking his tracksuit off, and I think that's the last we should see of Martin Chivers going down that tunnel. Terry Neal, the Spurs manager there, just making sure, just giving Duncan his instructions. Well, he's done pretty well. I think that signal from Terry Neal said a few things. Keep that going. So John Duncan's on. He's got 5 goals this season. Thomas, Masson. Again, as Perriman went into him, it's an example of the way Spurs are hustling. They're not allowing Rangers time to think or breathe. But that's not a bad cross there. Oh, and a beautiful one-handed save by Jennings. That really is his speciality, with those mighty hands of his. He clasps the ball almost like a tennis ball. Beautiful piece of goalkeeping. Pratt, Naylor, Duncan with a header. Well, the only thing that's lacking at the moment, there's been an awful lot of skill and an awful lot of wholehearted play. And a tremendous amount of effort, particularly from Tottenham. Some of the wrong sort there, I think, by Steve Perryman, giving Rangers that free kick. Don Givens and Willie Young jumping for this one. And Don Givens really giving the referee a ticking off there right in front of him. Felt that he was unfairly dealt with by Willie Young there, but now it's Chris Jones for Tottenham. He's hurdled past McClintock, and there's a good shot. Oh my goodness! Well, that would have been one of the goals of the season if that had gone in. Jones, who seems to get better with every game, went past McClintock, finally got it onto his left foot and unleashed a tremendous shot. And how close it was. Bowles trying to get the better of Young, and Young sticking well to him, helped by Naylor. Oh, and Bowles retaliating badly there on Willie Young. The linesman quickly there to intervene. The referee arriving now, and Willie Young saying that he was kicked by Stan Bowles. And Bowles' frustration showing there. And the referee and the linesman are now getting together to talk it over. Now, will Bowles be in trouble? The linesman surely would have seen it because it was right in front of him. It's a free kick there. And the referee takes no action. Oh, yes, he is. I think he might be calling Stan Bowles over to him. The game won't start. He wants to have a word with Bowles. Stan Bowles doesn't know it yet, but the referee, I think, wants to have a word with him. I think the referee is not looking at the free kick. I think he wants to have a word with Stan Bowles. Now, I can't think what's happening here, but yes, he's calling Stan Bowles and Willie Young over to him. And he's given him a good bit of Yorkshire. Harold Hackney, who comes from Barnsley. Well, thank goodness it ended that way. It could have been much worse. Now, Francis again taking it from Clement. Free kick, booking, and Jerry Francis angry with the way that he was dealt with, but the referee was all reaching in his book. And Willie Young's name will go into the referee's book for that foul on Jerry Francis. That's the foul. Back for Pratt. The early ball going in, trying to dummy around it. Neighbour again. Chance again to way up this cross. Chris Jones with a header. Perryman with a shot. Well, we've seen Perryman several times before in his career come in on that sort of shot and hit a volley screaming into the roof of the net. But that time it finished high on the back of the terraces. McAllister lost that to Bowles. A bad place to lose the ball, especially to a player like Bowles, and he gave Bowles a nudge there. And it's still, oh my goodness, that was nearly the craziest goal of the season there, as that ricochet came off a Rangers, off a Spurs player, and Jennings somehow managed to grab it, but it still went over for a corner. Well, that was a remarkable instant. So, corner again for Queen's Park Rangers. About 6 minutes to go. Deep again towards Jerry Francis. Spurs come out so quickly from those corners. Again, they're giving Rangers no time at all to develop anything. But maybe Bowles can do something here. There he goes. Nothing given. Leach planting it in again. And there's Webb on the far side. Almost got it. There's a fair bit of arm waving going on in the Spurs bench at the moment now. They know they're a matter of a minute or so from a vent indeed, and who knows, they might even snatch a second one as Neighbour turns that in, but Phil Parkes is there. Now they've got to come back, because Thomas is on his way. And Coates was after him. Still with Thomas, and he's gone past McAllister too. No, he didn't, but he got a corner for Rangers as we come to the last minute of the game. So if it's going to happen for Rangers, it's got to happen now. Thomas with the corner. Everybody back for Tottenham, and nearly everybody up for QPR. Dave Clement there. Oh, and it went! Finally off the head of Jerry Francis, somehow into the arms of Pat Jennings. A backward header by his own man, in fact. And Jennings then just managed to grab that ball as it hit Jerry Francis. So there's a fair bit of shouting and a fair bit of arm waving going on, as Spurs know that they're almost there, with a point that I think only most ardent supporters could have seen them getting today, although their away form hasn't been bad, and they've had an unbeaten run of 8 games. Well, can Chris Jones do something here? He can't, because McClintock gets it away. Here's Givens. Oh, and Givens is retaliating there. And I don't know whether Givens is being called across. Yes, I think Don Givens' name is going to go into the book as well. So Willie Young's name has gone in. Don Givens' name has gone in. All right, Terry, I heard him say, or saw him say. Get an idea of how blustery it is to see the way that notebook is fluttering about as well. That's twice Mr. Hackney's had to flutter it out, though, to take 2 names. And a free kick to Tottenham. A look at the watch. And there goes the final whistle. Very good draw indeed for Tottenham, and one they thoroughly deserved. The way they chased and hustled and never allowed Rangers to develop anything at all or to get into their stride, and showed a fair bit of style and spirit themselves. Willie Young playing well in that defence, learning with every game he plays down here in the First Division. And so we come after a really excellent goalless draw. A final scoreline then: Queen's Park Rangers 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
And indeed, that was a very good result for Tottenham, and it's a pleasure to welcome onto the programme today a big man who had played, in fact, a very big part in that point for Spurs, Willie Young, their big number 5. In fact, you were telling me on World of Sport yesterday, Willie, that you were confident of getting a draw. It seems to me that Spurs' confidence is growing all the time.
Yeah, well, since I've come down, we've went now 9 games without defeat. And for a team in our position, we play attacking football all the time when I did come down, because usually teams in that position tend to defend a lot. But we are a natural attacking team, and I think before the end of the season, we'll rise, quite a few places more.
Were you surprised at the morale Spurs had when you arrived?
Yeah, definitely. There again, team at the bottom of the league, almost at the bottom, you expect them to be pretty low in morale. But I found the dressing room was a good atmosphere, and the players, they're very chirpy for the position we're in. I think they knew it was only a matter of time before they started getting results.
What was your specific job yesterday?
Well, QPR, they always try to drag the central defender out the middle for the likes of Leach and Givens at the back post. So we played it that if a striker came off and went out, Keith Osgood would always go with him, and I'd be left at the back post for the high ball, which I think worked pretty well.
So you were a big barrier in the central position the whole time. I think the thing that impressed a lot of people there was the way you hustled and drove for full 90 minutes there and never allowed Rangers to settle. And we've got an example of this now, Willie, that I'd like you to tell us if you think this is the right sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, you can see John Pratt here. He closes right up. I think that's Givens, is it?
That's it.
He lays it in, and Stevie goes immediately to him. He lays it wide again, and Don McAllister goes straight across. You can't allow players like these to dwell on the ball because they're so dangerous. Now he lays it in here, and Chris Jones gets a timely tackle on him. And when the ball's played back upfield, you'll notice that Chris is the one who's furthest upfield again.
And there's Ralph Coates as well, so out of defence you're suddenly going to make something in attack as well.
And I think if the camera came over a bit, you would have seen that Jimmy Neighbour was also up. Plus the midfield would have been supporting again.
You need a lot of pace to do those sort of things, and I must hold my hand up to you straight away. I criticised you in the last 7 days for not having enough pace.
Yeah.
Did you feel that this was a justified criticism, or do you think you're sharpening up now, or what?
I think when I came down to start with, there was a bit, you know, big people tend to need a lot of short shank stuff, and I don't think I'd had enough before I came down, and I think I have shanted that quite a bit since I came down, because they've been working a lot on my speed. I think I have picked up a bit of pace.
I'm sure Spurs fans are impressed with what they've seen of you. And we were saying a moment ago about Chris Jones, and I think they're only just beginning to realise what a very good young player he is as well. Tell us about Chris Jones.
You know, before I came down, I'd never heard of Chris Jones, because obviously up there you only hear about the big name stars. But since I came down, I've really, he's so good really. He's very good in the air. He's very strong on his left foot, and his control is very good. And I think you'll see.
Well, we've got a couple of instances here where he lays both with his feet and with his head. This is one with his feet.
Here it comes here. He just lays it inside to Ralph for a shot.
Lovely
here.
touch.
Yeah, left foot again.
He takes quite a buffeting up front as a target man, doesn't he? But he wins an awful lot in the air for you.
Yeah, he's got a very good jump. You know, he gets off the deck really well, and he's very good in the air as well. He lays them off really well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And Steve normally tucks those away, doesn't he?
It would have been a hard one to stick away actually, because you can see there that there were two men in front of him.
Yeah.
I think if it had been on target, we'd have hit them.
Now he's good on his left foot, isn't he, Chris Jones?
His control is good as well, and he keeps the head well. You know, he doesn't panic, and he's got a dynamite shot with that left leg.
That would have been one of the goals of the season, you know.
Yeah,
What did you think of Queen's Park Rangers yesterday, Willie?
Well, a team can only play as well as you let them play. We had to close them up, so they weren't allowed to play as well as they could do. But I was a bit disappointed in them, really. But you can see that they have, you know, they've got the players there. When they're on their game, they can play really well. Maston, I thought he's a good player.
What about Bowles and Givens and Francis, for example?
Well, they're very good, naturally. I mean,
you had a bit of a bust-up with Stan Bowles that the viewers already seen, of course.
Yeah. I think that was just a flash of temper, just in the spur of the moment. It was best of friends after it, you know.
I want to show you one other little thing before we go on to you personally, and that is a marvellous piece of defence that we saw from Frank McClintock yesterday. A Scot who's been in the game a fair while, Willie, and I'm sure you as a number 5 would appreciate just what an excellent piece of defence this was, a great rescue for them as you come driving forward again. I think it's Chris Jones who gets away there.
John Pratt, so you can see Chris's pace there.
But look how Frank's making up on him.
It surprised me how quickly Frank got back there. But there again, Chris had to slow up there to get control of the ball and steady himself, which gave Frank a chance, but still he got back very well there. I think his teammates would have been proud of him.
Marvellous. Willie, let's just turn to you personally and finally. You're banned from playing from Scotland because of that affair in Denmark.
Yeah.
How much has that shaken you and changed your attitude to the game, do you think?
Well, the week after I broke in the press, I was still up in Scotland, and I had a lot of stick in the paper, and the TV, the cameras around at the house wanting to interview us, but we're told to say nothing. So, but with all the publicity, and we were told to say nothing, it was building up inside you, and you couldn't let the pressure off. But once I got the move and came down here, it's gave me other things to think about. I think about now just concentrating and doing well for Spurs, who are good enough to give me a second chance. So I think I owe them that rather than go all moose.
It's not left you bitter?
No. Well, I can't say it hasn't left me bitter, because I don't think we got a fair hearing. So I think it was done very underhanded. But we're hoping to get an appeal, say in a year. Let it go for a year and then appeal again. I think we may